Clarence.
Barnacles.
Clarence. I apologize. Welcome in, everybody. It's the DLLS Cowboys podcast, and today we're going to have a special guest that's going to join us in studio, the great and powerful Anthony Lynn, who is the Commanders' run game coordinator and running backs coach. Yeah, we're going to have the enemy in. It's going to be a good time. Plus, we got your Cowboy questions of the day, so get in here, hit the like button, have a good time, and the show starts. Meow. Another episode of the DLLS Cowboys podcast. Did I say 2 L's or did I put an extra L? DLL. I did it right.
You did too. Yeah.
Yeah. It throws me sometimes. The DLLS. As you can see, we're a man short, but that's okay. We're going to fill that fourth chair in the second half of the show with the Commanders' run game coordinator, running back coach, Anthony Lynn. He's a local man. Clarence knows him. So he was like, hey, it's late June. You want to come in and talk sports? Anthony Lynn was like, you gonna be a butthead to me? And Clarence like, no, I'll be cool.
I'll be chill.
And Anthony Lynn was like, all right. So that's gonna be the second half of the show.
And I said you could do it video, we could do it virtual.
And he said, I won't come in.
Come in.
Yeah.
How's he gonna get in the building?
Yeah. We have no one here to let
Who's
him
gonna
in.
We
handle
don't have
that?
a doorman?
We have no doorman. Anyone can just walk on in.
Oh wait, actually he can. He can just get straight in. There's
Yeah.
nothing to stop him. I'm sorry, there's nothing to stop him as long as he knows where he's going. It's a good point. Hello everyone, my name is Jeff. Next to me is the 11th best beat writer in the history of the Cowboys.
Tell
him
something, Joe.
Next to him is the greatest beat writer in the history of the Cowboys, a man of loyalty, you know, a great teammate.
Would never, ever betray you.
Would never betray me, would never leave me, always there for us.
Always there.
The great Clarence Hill.
What about gout?
What about gout?
What about gout?
It's a fair question.
Can we go to the top? Who was first today?
It was Popo Dro.
Dro knows.
Popo Dro.
First comment.
You call me Popo Dro, and Popo recognize Popo,
And
okay?
did you see what he said about I should be in the middle? Come on, man.
Make a reverse
Ice cream sandwich.
You know,
yeah.
in the streets they call it reverse Oreo.
Backwards
Yeah.
Oreo, yeah.
In the streets they call it reverse
Ice cream
Oreo.
sandwich is going to melt, Dro.
It was a big day for our show yesterday. It's been a months-long battle of trying to get Joe to watch the movie Man on Fire, and it's finally been done. He finally watched Man on Fire.
But he didn't.
What are you talking about? You watched Man on
I
Fire?
watched Man on Fire.
You watched Man on Fire, right?
I watched Man on Fire.
No, you didn't watch
started it.
Man on Fire.
I had I got a little sick last night, and a little food poisoning. So I got an hour into it, and I really, really liked the first hour, but I couldn't finish. I'm going to finish it tonight. I promise. It's good so far. I really enjoy it.
So Jeff, if you don't watch the entire movie, did you watch the movie? I mean, I just need us to be factual here. If you don't watch the entire movie, did you watch the movie?
I would like to counter your question with a question. Because first of all, I would say, like, you can't say I've seen Man on Fire if you haven't seen the whole movie, but you can say I watched it because he did watch some of it, but he can't say he's seen it. But my question is, sick or no sick?
You can still watch the damn movie. Who can't watch?
You
That's
didn't
what
like
you do
it
when
that
you're
damn
sick.
much if you didn't finish.
That's what you do when you're sick.
You
sit
didn't
there,
like it that
can't
damn
move,
much.
Can't go nowhere but watch movies.
When I have food poisoning, I can't watch a movie on the television.
You watch it on your phone?
You weren't throwing up all night. Just so.
You don't know how to use your phone?
I went to bed after
You don't know
it.
how to use your phone?
It was on Hulu. I don't have the app Hulu on my phone, okay?
It's on YouTube on your phone. You know, you can find anything on your phone.
Joe kind of watched MicahParsons.
But to answer your question, did you answer my question? To me, it's like the NFL does the replay rules. If 50 drunks in the bar say it's a bad play or it's a bad call, you know, let's overturn it. When you say I watched or what word you use?
I would say he can't say
I
he's
can't say I've seen it. I
Man
watched
on
it.
Fire,
Okay,
but he
seen
did
and
watch it
When you
last
tell
night.
somebody I
Clarence.
watched the movie, they think you've seen the movie. They don't differentiate and say, well, he watched it, but maybe he didn't see it. When you just say I watched the movie, most reasonable minds would assume you watched the entire movie. They don't think you watched half the movie. Reasonable minds. Reasonable.
Let me ask you a question.
Reasonable
when the Cowboys played Atlanta last year and Dak Prescott tore his hamstring because of you, in the stat sheet, did it say that he started that game? Because guess what? He did start that game. He didn't finish it, but he started it. Okay, so in the official stat book,
started the movie.
I started the movie. I got to start.
So you started the movie.
That's a watch.
You didn't watch the movie.
I played. It's a watch.
You didn't play the movie.
Terms.
You didn't.
Same terms.
No, see,
I'm
you
gonna
conflating
tonight.
apples and oranges.
That means you didn't get to
The good part.
I wish you had more
No,
time.
I didn't get to that.
No, he
You're
didn't
not
get to
there
the
yet?
good
No,
part.
they're doing the swimming thing right now. And
The swimming. Oh, you just said the
He
swimming.
coaches her up good,
No,
too.
he does coach her
Oh,
up.
he
good.
coaches
I was
her up
like,
good.
Chandler's in to remember the Titans on that one. I know he did.
Yeah, he coaches
He's
her
like,
up
you
good.
don't anticipate the
You ever-
sound, you listen.
Oh, you haven't gotten to the part where you find out who the real.
Whoa.
That's who the real.
Oh, you just spoiled it because I already know who the real. Now I know who it's
No,
gonna
you
be.
don't know who the real.
I 100%
Not-
do.
not at this
I bet
point.
you. I bet you I can get it.
This
I
is
bet
the
you don't.
Cowboys content you sign up for on June 25th. Just in the vein of movies, because I've accidentally been watching way too many TV shows. I've been binging a lot of things, including Yellowstone.
Yeah.
And one of the characters in Yellowstone, it always creeps me out when I see an actor. And in my mind, a lot of actors are only one thing. It's whatever I know them as.
Yeah.
And then Coach Yost showed up in Yellowstone as a character, and I'm like, that's weird. Coach Yost shouldn't be here.
You will not gain another yard on this property all night.
You blitz
all night.
Yeah, he showed up. His daughter in Remember the Titans is Hayden Panettiere.
That's
by the
right.
way.
That's right. I haven't seen her in a minute.
Anyway, what are you guys doing? What are you guys up to?
I
It's
just
good
know
to
he
see
wasn't
you.
my hero. Remember the Titans,
Who wasn't?
Coach Yost.
Yeah, why would he?
Why not?
Why would he?
I'm just saying he wasn't my hero.
Yeah, okay.
He benched what's his name for Petey. He did the right thing.
wasn't my
Ryan
hero.
Gosling was
He wasn't my hero. From
Ryan
Remember the
Gosling
Titans.
was a problem.
He was. Couldn't cover.
Couldn't
anybody,
cover a lick.
which is that's stereotyping, and that hurt us.
Yeah,
That
But
hurt us.
It
that
set,
hurt me.
It set us back for years.
Yeah.
So you haven't seen The Wire, right?
No, not yet.
Wow. You know who else was in who's in The Wire? Who's the star?
Idris
of The Wire?
Elba.
No. From that movie, who's in The Wire?
Ryan Gosling.
God.
The guy from
Dang it.
Scrubs.
God.
I don't remember. all the
Petey.
okay, so from what? From Remember the Titans? On The Wire?
Yes.
I assume one of the players.
Duh.
Yeah, because there was a lot of
You don't know who Wood Harris is.
players. I
I
don't
know who Ed Harris
Right
is.
side, left side.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Oh,
Wrong side,
Bertier?
yeah.
Not Bertier, the black guy that's
Yeah.
not Bertier.
Yeah.
Damn,
You called for
Bertier? What are you talking about? Bertier ain't from Baltimore.
Other guy.
Yes.
Yeah, other guy.
Bertier is from Highland
He
Park.
was the star of The Wire.
Bring Anthony Lynn in to talk about Man on Fire.
We could do that.
Hey, okay, Cowboys show starts at 11:08 and 15 seconds. So whoever wants to be that guy on YouTube,
Donald
just leave in the
Faison.
comments. If you're looking for Cowboys, fast forward 8 minutes. Because you know people are going to do that. These D heads were around for 8 minutes. Well, it's June 25th. Welcome.
We're
to it.
having fun. We're not seam heads.
You see how I am a seam head.
You're not a seam head.
I have a take for you to start the show.
Okay, go ahead.
You ready for my take?
Let's hear it.
Luke Schoonmaker,
Scooney.
TE1.
That's wait, what?
Luke Schoonmaker, TE1.
That's because
Because Dak Prescott is doing his yearly boys' vacation where some teammates go with him, right? The receivers go with him. And yesterday we were talking about how Jake Ferguson's going to tight end U, which is a fun little meetup for apparently everyone who's ever played tight end.
I saw
Like,
so
the
many
Cowboys have
kegs.
undrafted free agents going out there.
I saw so many kegs in that background of that first night.
Where did Dak hang out?
No, at the tight end U.
Oh, I'm like, who do you think's getting more drunk? Tight end U? Either way, so Jake Ferguson and some other Cowboy tight ends are at tight end U, but I know my quarterback. If you hang out in the Dak yard, you're going to make the team.
you know,
If you're out there hanging out with Dak,
Oh, 100%.
you're going to end up getting some targets.
it's
Schoon is not at tight end U. Schoon is with Dak. Schoon, tight end 1.
see this is why we're a daily show, guys. And I always talk about news changes daily. Yesterday, you were besmirching Schoon.
I would never.
Schoon was being besmirched.
No, I said,
I don't know
where
if
is
he.
he?
Yeah, I don't know if
Sloan
he was
was
being.
getting
I
busy.
don't think he was being.
I said, where is he? He's not a tight end. You.
Sir,
I don't think
sir.
that was a besmirching.
Can y'all let me finish?
I would never smirch anyone.
Because just like, can you put the graphic up, please, again, one more time?
Which one?
He was
Is that
getting
Schoon shooting
besmirched.
pool?
Also, for the people wondering where he's been,
Jalen Brooks
because he
making
was
team.
not at tight end you. Everybody like, well, everybody's there with Schoon. Everybody's there with Schoon.
It was a good
Schoon wasn't
question.
invited.
He's straw manning us.
Schoon wasn't invited. Everybody wasn't
strawmanning
invited.
us.
Where's Schoon? Maybe
They
don't
wonder
like
why I'm
Schoon.
leaving.
Maybe Schoon wasn't invited to tight end you. Whoa, 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 whoa.
I'm quitting
Now
too.
today, one day later, we found out Schoon was with his quarterback. Now we're trying to give him props for being with his quarterback when yesterday he was getting besmirched for not getting invited to tight end you. And now we're trying to elevate him to tight end one because
Just
he's
me.
with the quarterback and Jake Ferguson's at tight end you. When the truth is, as we fleshed this whole conversation out, tight end you is in Nashville. Cowboys and Dak are in Georgia.
Georgia's a big state. Where are they?
And lo and behold, Ferguson was also at the Dak event. He went back and forth.
Oh, crap.
He went
gotta
back
change
and
my
forth.
opinion.
Change it.
Lo and behold.
Now I got to change my opinion. Ferg is tight end one.
Yeah.
Because he went and hung out with Dak too?
yeah.
Okay.
Schoonmaker tight end 2, and Princeton Fant
See?
tight
Three.
end 3. Yeah.
Span forward I haven't seen with Dak.
Span
So
forward.
he's out.
He just got cut.
But as the news guy on this show,
That's me.
see,
The news guy, not one of.
this
the
is
news guy.
fiddle fart.
Who were they?
Who's
gonna take in
that
the first
tight
round?
end you and all that? That's
It
fiddle
is
fart.
June 25th.
Right.
There ain't crap going on.
So as a news guy, the thing that jumps out to me when you talk about who's with Dak,
Yeah.
George Pickens with Dak.
Yeah, well, that
Well,
was
1,500
expected. We knew
yards,
that.
yeah.
George,
1500.
we knew that.
We knew that was going to happen.
Okay.
My news guy, Joe.
Everything George Pickens has done since he's got here has been part of the protocol, has been part for the team. He has been doing everything he's supposed to do, and of course, that would be part of it.
Well, when you have a reputation,
That has not
Yeah,
been
but-
founded at anywhere in Dallas right now.
and he's only been here a couple of weeks, when
I
you
know.
have a reputation,
Because
you have
as
to
you
con-
said, it's his Kyrie year.
yeah, you have to
And you said it,
you have to
so.
continually prove things to people. When
I
people
know.
have an opinion of you, you have to continually prove people that I'm not that guy, I'm this guy, I'm not that guy. Because even with Kyrie, there are people who still point out stuff happened in Brooklyn and wherever else. You still have to continually show people I'm a good dude.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, whether we knew it, expected, or whatever else, now he's here. We know that he's with Dak. And that's great news. I mean, that's what you want because we're looking for wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 1A. We're looking for those big plays from guys. We've already been on the show this week talking about they have the best wide receiver duo, one of the best wide receiver duos in the league. Well, you only can manifest that and make it real and not just hyperbole by putting in the work.
Yeah, that's fair.
And he's putting in the work to get it done.
Can I ask you a question, Clarence?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to go from 1 to 3, back to 1 to 2 to 1 to 3. Do you think Dak pays for the travel for his little getaways for his teammates if they are not like rich?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he pays for a lot.
So do you think Jalen Brooks is with Dak because he wanted to take advantage of one last free flight before he's not on the
Damn, see
team?
how you
Or do
do.
you think this is a sign that he's going to make the team because he's
That's how
tight
you
with
do.
Jalen
Dak?
Brooks is also an excellent cook and barbecue
Why
guy, so
you
I think
doing
he brings
that?
something.
What is it?
He brings something to the table.
Somebody got to carry the bags. I mean, Dez won't.
Oh,
Dez won't. Dez won't.
Jalen Brooks ain't no rookie.
Dez?
Dez won't.
Jalen Brooks ain't no rookie.
Is Dez with Dak?
Trayshawn Holden, Josh Kelly, those are your rookies.
Somebody, well, they're not there. Okay, Trayshawn Holden and Josh Kelly are not. It's still a hierarchy. Okay, there's still a caste system, so to speak.
Mm.
And so when the rookies aren't there, you're still a low man on the totem pole.
Yeah.
Well, I guess my Schoonmaker takes out the window now that it turns out Ferg swung by the Dak outing as well.
It's a big year for Scooney, though.
It's a big year. It's a big year for Ferg.
Big year for Ferg. Big year for that tight end room, yeah.
That's a big year for
The
lot of-
Cowboys.
a lot of damn people.
The Cowboys.
Chill and Joe are Cowboys news. Jeff is national media clickbait news. Only when I'm doing bits.
When are you not doing bits?
He's
When
not
I'm-
doing bits all the time.
When I'm locked in.
Okay, give me a Jerry rant. Let's give me a Jerry on Schoon not being at tight end U and being with Dak.
All right. Let me see here. I did see and did and do, and we are and saw it, and it was happy. Schoon with the Ferg, and Ferg went to the university, he did, and he was learning and at the school, and Schoon is a word that sounds like school. Schoon, but didn't go to the university, and that's we're keeping an eye on that. We are and did and will, and but we like him. We do. He's Michigan and Schoon, and he's gonna do some Schoon and school. And he wasn't there and was somewhere, and that's good because you gotta, what I say is be somewhere, and he is and was and he'll be anyway. Good talk, and see you out there. I don't know what he has to say.
Scoony Tunes.
Scoony Tunes.
Coming up next on the DLLS Cowboys podcast, we're going to really lock in with the incredibly serious Cowboys topics of the day. And that's next on the DLLS Cowboys podcast.
You know, if tight end if they really wanted to really kind of, get their brand going, they could have got some branded bills from Branded Bills. Whether you need snapbacks, truckers, fitteds, beanies, or tees. Ooh, they have tees now?
Oh,
I've always known the branded bill, the hat, but I didn't know about the tees.
You saying testosterone? They got testosterone?
They got branded testosterone. Branded Bills has you covered with performance and style. Looking for some gear to make your brand stand apart from the crowd? Branded Bills has you covered with the best custom headwear. That means, if you want to get some tight end stuff, you want to get some, Jeff Kavanaugh pool fund hats, we can start selling those, with Branded Bills. It has you covered with the best custom. It starts your order, and their dedicated team will help you create the exact custom apparel you need. They have a partnership with 30-plus colleges as a part of their campus collection, which is, football season's right around the corner, even though it's only June. But, you can get that stuff now.
It's coming though.
That includes TCU and the Texas Longhorns. Chill team's coming soon. Head to brandbills.com and use the code BBDLLS for 15% off your first order.
Hell yeah. Also, I want to invite you guys to go on a journey with us. We are going to Vegas for the Cowboys and Raiders game. We're going to be out there to do our pre- and post-game show, and we're going to be there for the dates you see on the screen, November 15th to 18th, and we want to invite you to come along on the DLLS road trip to Las Vegas. Our friends at True Fan Travel are running this thing, the ultimate fan experience, DLLS. We're going to take over the Strip. I'm going to be out there, 3 sheets, 6 White Castle cheeseburgers in hand. Getting ready to
White Castle. I don't understand going to Vegas for White Castle.
Why not?
Well, we don't have them here.
Yeah.
And I was born in St. Louis, and I miss my White Castles. And so when I'm in Vegas, I like to take advantage.
6 is light work.
We want you to be in Vegas with us. True. 8 is a good order.
Yeah.
You need to be there. Join us as the Cowboys are taking on the Raiders out there. All-inclusive trip includes 3-night stay at a luxury Vegas resort, game tickets, VIP parties, exclusive events, all of these things. So you head on over and book now at truefantravel.com. It is the DLLS Cowboys podcast here in about 12 minutes. Anthony Lynn is going to join us. Anthony Lynn, of course, the Washington Commanders run game coordinator and running backs coach, former Cowboys running back coach with Bill Parcells with the Tuna.
Salina High School alum.
Which means he was coaching what? Marion Barber, Julius Jones?
That sounds right, yeah.
Something like that. I'm really good with years. Most people don't know that I'm absolutely incredible with years.
He replaced Mo Cawthorn, who was the running backs coach, who I introduced actually to Troy Hembrick at a strip club. And we're going to have Troy Hembrick on here soon to talk about that interaction. Former Cowboys.
Slips that in there.
I'm letting you know, I did.
Okay, because I was going to call you out because that sounds very personal and like something somebody might not want shared. But then you said we're going to have Troy Hembrick on to talk about it.
The thing about it is that you guys understand this was 100 years ago.
Not
100.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
And
Well,
we
what
got to
about
embrace
Gout?
the truth, the reality of what's going on around here.
What were you doing 20 years ago?
Covering the Cowboys
At
at the strip club.
Not winning playoff games?
Well, I'm covering the Cowboys at the strip club. I had my laptop. I had my laptop.
You had a laptop in 2005?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know they had those.
Wow.
Let me check this
Might
out.
not have internet.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're hardwired in.
Listen to me.
The Osborne 1 laptop came out in April of 1981.
Oh, shoot.
We didn't
my
have
bad.
that. We was still doing.
The modern laptops started in the 90s.
Okay, my bad.
I had a laptop. I used to go to bars to do my work in the office and calling agents because Hooters was one of the first restaurants.
Ours is about to reopen August.
That's right.
Yeah, one of the
right
first
next to us.
restaurants that gave you free Wi-Fi. You know, at home you had to dial up in. You don't remember the dial up?
I do. I do remember the dial-up.
But Hooters was one of the first restaurants. Now everybody has it. first restaurants that have free Wi-Fi. I go in there,
It's nice of them.
get some wings, get some great service,
Yeah.
be on my computer, write all day, not have to worry about the wife and kids at home, get away, get a little peace.
Don't worry about the wife when you could have the Wi-Fi.
And Wi-Fi. I don't have to worry about the Wi-Fi and the Hooters.
Yeah.
The naked
The hand-
wing.
the hand-
I love the naked hot.
So
With some hot fries.
So, Joe, back in our day, Clarence and I, if you were on the internet,
Yeah.
people couldn't use the phone.
Oh no, that happened with me too. I was at the tail end of that.
You live that?
Yeah, because
I was at the house.
I'd be playing video games, and then
I
we
was
get
at the
we get a
house.
phone call.
My parents would be like, well, you just get a busy signal. My parents would yell at me because they're like, I'm expecting a phone call. Get off the internet. Because I was busy. I was playing Age of Empires or something.
Ooh.
I was raising hell.
You were online.
yeah.
He's
Yeah.
outside. You were online.
I was putting in mad work.
That's right.
So Anthony Lynn's going to join us in just a little bit. My Jeffrey Cowboy question of the day. This is a question. We were talking about Jake Ferguson. We talked about him yesterday. This is really a Jake Ferguson bounce back, do you believe question.
I do.
The Cowboys' third leading receiver in the year of our Lord 2025 will be who?
Oh, I think it will be Jake Ferguson.
See, I always like that leading receiver. How about leading pass catcher? Because that receiver thing is missing.
No, that's what I mean.
I know.
If you
I
think
know.
it's a running back or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
What did you
yeah,
say?
Cause that-
Catcher of balls?
Yeah,
the
catcher of ball.
Ball catcher.
Ball catcher. No, because it's misnomer. Because everybody think, well, you got to be you're the third receiver. You're third. No. You can be the quote unquote third receiver, but you're not the third option. You're not the third, pass catcher.
Who will have the third most catches and the third most receiving yards on the Cowboys?
And it could be a running back and a tight end.
Could be.
You're pretty bullish on a running back.
No, I'm bullish.
You are too, actually.
I want
Yeah.
Jaydon Blue to have a ton of catches because I think with the way that teams are going to have to defend the Cowboys, because here's what's going to happen with the Cowboys. Play one against Philadelphia, the Cowboys are going to line up. Dak's going to look at the defense. He's going to see what they're in, and if it's a single high, he's going to know that they're going to cheat to CD. If it's two high or whatever, he's going to know that the one high on CD side is damn sure going to be afraid. And if he has the opportunity, he's going to throw that thing. I was about to say that word that I'm not allowed to say. Dak's going to throw that thing about 60 yards downfield. I don't know if he's got 60 in him anymore. About 54 yards downfield to
got
George
60 mil in
Pickens,
him.
and he's going to set the tone that way. CD and Pickens are going to have big years. And teams are going to have to, and this is what teams want to do these days anyway, play two deep safeties, back up, and you have a dude that can raise hell if he catches a ball in space and it's him and a linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
Jaydon Blue could make plays.
I agree. Seem God.
So could Jake Ferguson.
Seem God. If Jake Ferguson have a big year, Dak's going to have a big year. Because they are
You got to be willing
going
to
to
get hit
focus
because
on
Dak loves to drop a dime right down the middle.
And
Yeah,
I
but you
think
got to
he
be a
is one
tight end.
of
But
those.
he's a guy that his first 2 years, 3 years, because last year he got hurt, but he would bounce off you and then ramble for more yards. He had more yak than Witten had ever had. He was a tough dude. Tough, and that's what you want in your tight end. And when Dak is good, you go back to the Schultz days. He likes leaning on his tight ends, his line is his blanket. It's his. So when I always think about trusted, I always say that Schultz was one of Dak's most trusted options because he was going to catch the ball. Those receivers outside of CD, they were 50-50.
Just
They
to do your
pop it up.
job.
But you want Ferguson to be a trusted option, and Dak wants him to be a trusted option. And outside of CD and outside of Pickens for the big play, when I need somebody, when I need to rely on somebody, trust somebody, it's going to be that tight end. So I see Ferguson being that third option, that third leading pass catcher.
Yeah. I think also that he does something different in terms of being that pass catcher. You point out the seam relationship with Dak Prescott. They had one pass in minicamp for a touchdown where it was a seam pass and it was fantastic. And it just, the chemistry already looked there and you can kind of see the trust in the relationship. The other contender is Jaydon Blue or Jalen Tolbert, right? And I just don't see a path with what they have outside for Jalen Tolbert to kind of get those third receiving numbers. I almost see, I think Jalen Tolbert will make some plays this year. I do think that in terms of volume, though, it's somewhat of a redundancy. I think he'll have to be kind of, it would have to be okay that he's open, go make a play, right? And I think he'll have those opportunities. I just don't see the volume that Jake Ferguson's going to get with Jalen Tolbert.
Jeff's second Cowboy question of the day for you guys about wide receivers. Will CeeDee Lamb have 500 more receiving yards than George Pickens?
No.
That's a lot. So 1,700 to 1,200 is still a good season for both.
It's fantastic.
So the
season.
reason I'm using that number is because if you say that CD won't, I just want to make sure everybody knows you are absolutely saying George Pickens is going over 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
If CD's healthy, he's going over 15.
I could see like a 12 and 14.
I like that game too. The total between the two of them.
17 and 12 is what you want.
29.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
17 and 12 is what you want.
That's 29.
I just don't see it being that high between those two because I think there are other options too.
Yeah, but 17 and 12, but give me 8 to 10 tutties for Pickens, and we all happy.
Oh, if he can get 10 touchdowns, it's fantastic.
8 to 10 tutties.
He could have just 1,000 yards receiving
we
and
all
get 10
happy.
to 12 touchdowns.
Does George Pickens' existence make you a believer and a fan of the lowest percentage play in football?
Oh, yeah.
The fade.
Goal line fade? Yeah.
Yeah,
Throw it up.
Dak can throw that thing.
That's a terrible play.
He can throw that thing.
It's a terrible play.
How
if you
many
don't-
times did it work with Michael Gallup, who's not near the athlete with Pickens?
Some,
is true.
about 30% of the time.
Yeah, but when it was good, it was that toe tap. Oh, my
It does
God.
look
He
good
can
when it's
throw
good.
that thing.
I'll tell you too, Madden's coming out soon. George Pickens might have the #1 spectacular catch rating on Madden.
He can do it.
He is a
He can throw that
he is a
thing.
Mr. Fantastic is a nickname for him. He is a freak, dude.
If somebody put on Twitter, and I sent it to you guys this morning. I don't know if you guys read all the text messages because I get up and
Yeah,
see
we
it.
saw it. We saw it.
I get to him
I just
when I
didn't
get
know where
to
that
him.
came from, to be honest.
I get to him when I get to him.
Yeah.
What was the text?
It was about
I haven't gotten to it.
it was about separation. In
I didn't see. I mean, I saw
it
it
was
and I
about
forgot about it.
last in 22 and 23. The Cowboys were 31st in separation.
Yeah.
And 23 was when Dak was second in
MVP voting.
MVP voting.
That's pretty good when nobody's open. To still be putting up MVP numbers. It's pretty damn good. And that's why I like to tell people.
That's like when people tell the whole story. We talk about Dak. Talk about this separation.
Right. It's okay to say I don't watch sports. You know? You don't have to type in Dak sucks. You could type in I don't watch sports.
Yeah.
And I would like for you guys to educate me. You know?
Yeah.
And I think that we could do it that way.
Yeah,
He's in the building.
Is he in the building?
He's in
Let's
the
just
building.
let's hit our break early. And just come on back. We got a half hour of show left, and we've got a special guest joining us, the great Anthony Lynn, Commanders run game coordinator, run backs coach, and he's in the building. So we're just going to get to that, and it's going to be next on the DLLS Cowboys podcast.
And if you want to go and see when the Cowboys and Commanders and Anthony Lynn, they face off, you could use Game Time to go get yourself some tickets. Game Time is something that I started using way before I even started work here. And I'll be honest with you, I'm going to use it when I leave here too because Game Time is fantastic. They got the all-in pricing. They got the inclusive stuff. You know, it always makes me mad, Jeff. It really grinds my gears.
Oh, grinds your gears?
It grinds my gears when you think you got a good deal on a ticket and then you go get that ticket and then it says, oh, hey, by the way, here's $2,000 worth of taxes. You know,
Yeah, 2,000 is a big number.
2,000 is a
That's
huge
big
number. You're not going to have to worry about that with Game Time because Game Time is going to be up front. They're going to hook you up. They're going to have some really they'll show you where some of these really good seats are. And guess what? Football season's coming up, and you're going to have to use these Game Time to go get these tickets. Okay?
It's not June 25th forever.
No,
just
that's
today.
right. Use the code DLLS to get $20 off your first purchase with Game Time. Again, that's code DLLS, $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. What time is it?
Game time.
Oh.
All right, also want to shout out, this is very unfortunate. Coach, if you could earmuff it for me while we do this spot. Shout out to our friends at Mando. It's a men's deodorant brand that's hyper-focused on keeping every aspect of a man's body smelling fresh and clean.
That's right.
Mando, great time to walk in, Coach. Mando overtly calls out more colorful parts of men's bodies like your pits, belly buttons, balls, butt cracks, and
That
grundles.
starter pack for the deodorant, very nice.
Their scents are geared towards fellas with options like bourbon leather, Clover Woods, Mount Fuji, and
Fuji.
Pro Sport. You want to smell like Pro Sport?
I would love to smell like Pro Sport.
It's
you were
whole
this
body
close to
deodorant.
smelling like Pro Sport.
I was this close to the
this close to smelling like
to the
Pro
pros.
Sport. Yep.
This close. Created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO is being misdiagnosed and mistreated, clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. This is our friends at Mando. They're the best. ShopMando.com. Use the code DLLS, and you'll get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code DLLS. All right, it's the DLLS Cowboys podcast, and we are back and ready to rock for the second half of our broadcast day. We would like to introduce a special guest and say hello to Anthony Lynn, a former Cowboys coach, now a coach with the Washington Commanders. Thank you so much for giving us some time, and thanks for coming all the way in. That's awesome.
I was in the neighborhood.
Yeah? Yeah?
No, he wasn't. Tell him where you live.
North.
I live in Frisco.
He lived in
Yeah,
Frisco. He drove down.
Yeah.
I have thick walls in my house, so it's hard for me to do Zooms or any type of video at the house. So I just figured I'd drive downtown.
What in the world did Clarence Hill ever do for you to make you willing to do this?
You know, he just he told me where you were located. You know, I used to skip school to go to that Hooters.
They had a bad fire. They're going to reopen in August. I've been tracking. They're going to reopen in August.
What's so crazy?
It better be crazy.
Better be crazy.
It's always crazy, but
Better be crazy.
Better be.
he's from a small town. He's from Salina.
Salina.
It used to be a small
It's
town.
I know.
Used to be, yeah.
So I
Used
grew
to
up in
be.
a small town called Schulenburg. I think we may have beat Salina in the state championship game way
I
back
doubt
in the '90s. After
I doubt it.
Oh, you better
Yeah.
look up. You better look up Schulenburg in the '90s. We won the winningest
I
two-way
remember.
programs in the '90s. Okay,
I remember.
No, listen.
They had a year.
we had
We had decades.
Yeah, we had decades.
They had a year.
We had a decade. They had decades.
I
This
played
was-
at Allen, Clarence. Don't talk to me about high school football. Okay.
Listen, y'all just showed up like last week. We talking about history.
We put
We talking about the
70,000 kids in
history.
one school. That's how we win.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about.
We talking about history, okay? G.A. Moore. We talking about history. We talking about the great programs. So I bond with people over high schools, small school. That's something that registers with me. We're out. There you go. Something that registers with me. Colleges. He's a Red Raider.
He is.
I'm a Longhorn. And so that when he comes here, we naturally bond. I love kids from Texas high school. I love people from Red Raiders. Southwest Conference. We got something to talk about. And so that's kind of how we bonded when he was coaching the Cowboys under Parcells when he showed up after Maurice Cawthorn left, who I introduced to Troy Hambrick at the strip club
You don't
in
have to say at the
Arlington
strip club.
back in the day. Facts. So we're gonna keep it real.
Yeah, for sure.
One of my favorite college
Did
football.
not see him at the strip club. Just want to let the record show.
Never
There you
would.
go.
Man
There
of
you go.
God.
No.
Outstanding adult. Well, he did just say he skipped school for Hooters, but that's not the same thing.
No.
He was going with the bit.
That was legal. That
Yeah.
was legal.
My random, because it's like, depending, I feel like how old you are, your sweet spot of favorite athletes, I feel like it's somewhere for me around the age of like 10 or 12. Was like whoever was in college and really good at that time. And so Byron Hansbard is one of my favorite college players of all time, the Texas Tech running back who would have been, I don't know, 6 or 7 years after you.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to bond with you over some guns up just by
No
saying
doubt about it. No, Byron's a heck of a man too.
Yeah, is he?
He's a heck of a man. I love him. Look, high school coming out. I cover recruiting, so I follow kids. Just from recruiting all the way through. I loved him. 0.0 GPA. Sorry.
For Byron?
Oh my God, you don't remember?
You always
No,
have
I just
to.
remember
I don't-
2,000 yards.
We were just talking about how good a player is.
I don't
how
remember that.
great a man is.
That last year, he didn't even go to class. That was a big story
He's gonna
back in the
tear him
day.
down.
No, I'm not. He's a
I
great
don't-
man.
I don't remember.
Great story.
Yeah.
It was Texas Tech, man. Come on. They was chasing tumbleweeds.
Oh my!
Academic institution. What are you talking about?
Listen, one of the great party schools of the Southwest Conference, because ain't nothing to do in Lubbock but drink and
Clarence as one of the
Well, it was a dry county for a long time, so.
and
drink-
get the Raider
and
rest.
it's 6 hours from civilization.
Oh my!
Well, let me tell you this, because as a man who I'm considered by most the best receiver in the history of Abilene Christian University to never record an official statistic.
That's right.
And
you were this close to the league.
You better believe Friday when class was over, we drove our butt to Lubbock.
Because ain't nothing to do but drink and
We had a good time.
We drove our butt to Lubbock.
I mean, it's the ultimate college town.
Oh yeah, because ain't nothing
You
to do.
know, well, I mean, it's a lot to do with if you live there,
Yeah.
Clarence. I mean, but I even asked my wife recently. I said, "Would you ever consider moving to Lubbock?" Of course, she said no. But it's just some of the best people I've ever been around.
No, great people.
It's
Salt and
great
earth
people in West Texas.
Yeah, salt and earth people.
Yeah.
I had a cousin with the Lubbock Estacada, all of that. So I've been up there.
I kind of like the cost of living too.
The first time I went up there and I saw them tumbleweeds running down the road, I like the sandstorms and everything. I was like, okay, we are here. Real quick. Anthony Lynn is here. He's obviously coach of the running game coordinator of the Washington Commanders, but his home remains here in the Metroplex DFW. He had a big golf tournament for his charity. Can you just talk about your charity And what's that for, real quick?
Well, we are a grant-based foundation, family foundation, founded by myself, my daughter, my son, and my wife, Stacy.
And your son is?
Anthony Lynn.
Where is he now?
He's at USC, defensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
And my daughter works here at Southwest Texas Hospital in the cancer division. She's a coordinator there, and she runs our family foundation. So she's probably the sharpest out of all of us. But and my wife, Stacy, she just retired. She was a 2-time Emmy news anchor in New York and Cleveland. So that's that. But we decided.
Hold on. You know you can recruit. Well, you can pull a news anchor.
Yeah, you can recruit.
You know, you can recruit. They don't let no number baddies on TV in New York, okay?
It's true.
With all due respect.
No, never thought about it that way before. But
That's true. Okay, go ahead.
But no, we just, I come from a family that's always given back and that's always served. And we just thought it was time. It was time for us to start giving back and serving. And we've been doing it for 6 years now. And it's been awesome. We have 4 pillars. A friend of mine, he's a Longhorn, Robbie Reddy.
Mm-hmm.
We were neighbors in New York City. We had no idea. I went to Texas Tech. We went to Texas. We were just talking one day, and then we hit it off. And he comes from a education background. Mother and father were teachers, and he's from India. And there's a place in Tanzania that was struggling, was about to be extinct. They needed education. They needed technology. And me, Robbie, and our friend Johnny Walker one night, sitting on the rooftop in New York City, decided to build a school there, and we did. And so we have a school in Tanzania. That's our international initiative. But here in the United States, we work with motherless girls and fatherless boys in Hugs Cafe in McKinney. My niece goes there, and they're doing a heck of a job of training not just young adults, but any adult with a disability to go out in the workforce and get jobs, man.
Mm-hmm.
And earn a paycheck. And I mean, I walk in that restaurant and I see those kids and how they're working and how proud they are of their work and how they're doing it. It's just, it makes you feel a certain way. And so we're working with them right now, and they're building a new training facility, and we're responsible for the locker room. So that's why we were playing golf and raising money and having a good time is for that locker room for Hugs Cafe.
That's fantastic.
So if it's just donation based, I would assume, is there a way for our listeners to get involved today? Like, is there a website where we just hit a button?
That's a really good question, and there is. I will leave that site with you before I leave.
Okay,
great. I just don't know it, off the top of my head.
We'll put it up in the description too.
Yeah,
awesome.
We'll put it in the video.
Awesome. That would be awesome. But we're going to grow this thing every year. We're in Stonebrook Country Club in Frisco.
Nice.
I'm a member there, and that's where I like to give back to as well. So we're going to be there every year. So
what's your handicap?
No, what is?
My handicap is my damn swing. But give me the mid-July. And I start getting back into a rhythm, and then I go to training camp again. And then we start all over again.
There you go.
And just the restaurant, it's a restaurant filled with workers with disabilities.
Oh, awesome.
Right.
Okay, and so they hire people with disabilities and they train them, and that's what he's saying. They have a locker room, and it is great. They have great food because I've been to a number of events he's had, and they serve the food, and they prepare the food and they bring it there, and so it is awesome. It is awesome. It's an awesome cause, and certainly if you have family members or no friends who have kids with disabilities, it's a way to give them, let them stand on their own and be responsible and have some accountability and learn how to be self-sufficient.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Well said. Yeah.
Yeah. Anthony, obviously, go to Washington last year. They had a huge turnaround, a lot of change in Washington, go straight to the NFC Championship game. I'm just kind of curious from a football perspective, what was it like to kind of be a part of that transformation? Obviously, when you have a new coaching staff, there's always change, and you got to change the culture is something that, the Cowboys kind of talk about too a little bit. What was that change like, and what was that run like last year for you guys?
Well, I mean, that process was ran by Dan Quinn, and Dan Quinn has been a longtime friend of mine. I was in San Francisco, and I was in San Francisco because Bobby Turner, my old coach, called me and Kyle and asked me to come. And so he was sick, but when he came back healthy as an ox right now, I could have stayed there, but Dan Quinn gets the job, and we've always wanted to coach together. And so I go to Washington with him, and I just know what type of leader he is. And the culture, he's the best culture builder I've ever been around.
Mm-hmm.
And we had the guys playing at a high level last year, and that's because they were playing for each other. And he does a lot of things in the off season that's not really. It's more. I don't want to say it's not football related, but it's more relational. We took a whole week off of practice, and we just did something that's really unique that a lot of coaches just won't do. Mm-hmm. And we told our story. And by the time we was in there telling our story, I mean, there was tears, there was laughter, and we just felt so much more connected with one another. And you can see it in our play, and you can see it in our practice this offseason. So I'm excited about, what Dan's building there, and I'm glad to be there to help him out. But it was really cool. I mean, that young quarterback we brought in, he didn't hurt.
Yeah, yeah, it didn't hurt one bit.
He's nice. Yeah.
Talk about the environment in Washington, because the fans have been down for so long, and just to go on that run and the NFC Championship game.
Well, I don't know what the hell the administration did before we got there, but they made it a lot easier for us because everyone saw a difference in everything we did and how we approached the game, how we prepared. Our behavior, the whole nine was night and day. And so I don't want to talk about the previous regime, but I just know what we're doing now with Adam Peters as our general manager. It's a good process, and we have outstanding leadership. And the time that I've spent with our owner, Josh, it's been unbelievable.
When you talk about that week that you guys took off of practice and you said we told our stories and there were tears, that's everybody, like coaching staff, players,
that's everybody, bro. That's everybody. That's every player. That's every coach.
I think that's super awesome because in my brain, this is like, I'm a therapy person. And so like over time, eventually you have to figure stuff out in the world. And I feel like when you say like there were tears, that makes me think, okay, you've told your story. You are giving people something that is showing a piece of you that a lot of people may not always share. Here is some vulnerability. And I feel like that breeds vulnerability from other people.
Yeah.
But I also feel like for young people, that is challenging. So did that make it easier to connect with an age of person that I feel like a lot of times it's harder to get to know? And when you get to know, you will fight for people.
And you just said it right there, trust, and you don't trust anybody that you don't know. Mm-hmm. And that takes time, and it's got to be intentional. And by just sharing a piece of your story and just by being vulnerable, I mean, that's how you get there. And Dan has built a culture where you feel like you can be vulnerable, and so I think some people were skeptical at first, and even myself, when I originally started to put my slides together to go through my story, it was generic. But by the time I watched the 20th or 25th person do it, I was like, come on, man, you got to come real.
I got to put my stuff in.
You got to put yourself out there a little bit. Right. And so I went back and redid my whole deal, after that. But it was really cool. It was really cool.
And how much value, like real life on football field value, do you see from that sort of stuff?
It's like on the field, whether you're on the field or off the field, you got to trust one another. And there is a standard, and an accountability, and I can hold you accountable if you trust me. But man, if I don't know you and you come at me a certain way, I mean, that ain't gonna go well.
Yeah.
So I think it helps, in that regard.
Yeah, you've been in a lot of places, and that means a lot of different cultures, and a lot of teams will talk about culture. Like for example, the Cowboys right now, Brian Schottenheimer talking a lot about relationships and culture. Clarence is smiling because he's a skeptic to culture.
I'm not.
But I'm curious, just from your perspective, like what potential pitfalls are there for a culture when you're trying to build it in terms of, hey, maybe this could be the right thing? How different are cultures? Is it dependent on each team every year? Are there things you can rely on?
It depends on the leader. The leader set the standards. He gives us the values. But I'll tell you what we did is it can be Dan Quinn's culture, it can be Anthony Lynn's culture, but if it ain't everybody, it doesn't matter. Especially to the guys in the locker room. Mm-hmm. So, okay, you guys decide how we're going to behave and how we're going to walk in this building every day and how we're going to go about our work. You guys decide how we're going to get down. Mm-hmm. And they wrote the damn script. Mm-hmm. We're just going to hold them to it.
Yeah.
I had a lot of questions, But I don't know if we need to take a break real
We
quick.
can get a quick
We
break.
can knock out the break real
Yeah,
quick.
and then
we'll
we'll
get a break
Yeah,
real
we'll
quick.
knock out the break
We got
real
to talk
quick.
about Parcells.
Oh,
I
100%.
mean,
Yeah.
we got to talk about that quarterback.
I got to talk about how easy it is to fix fumbling for my guy Jaydon Blue. We just got to know. We just got to know. Okay? We just got to know.
get his
Come on,
opinion
get
on
off here,
get his
man.
opinion on Dak. You know?
100%. Yeah.
So we will continue with Anthony Lynn, and that is next on the DLLS Cowboys podcast. Sign up to be a diehard. Look at that. Look at that intro offer. $36. It's normally $80 a year, and what you get is a one-stop shop for all of your DFW sporting things. In addition to access to our Discord where you hang out with us and other diehards. It's a great time in there. We have a wonderful time. I won't talk about the feet stuff that we do, but you can talk about sports, all your different teams. You can talk about TV, food. We're having a time in there. When you sign up to be a diehard, you also get to pick a T-shirt from our merch shop for free. That's about a $36 value, and right now with our special offer, it's $36 for an entire year.
Boom.
Ad-free experience on the website, access to all of our diehard level content. Maybe we'll even get to keep Joe's stuff when he quits.
Fun
Maybe
fact,
he'll just still live on the site.
They will, and I signed up to be a diehard yesterday.
Look at
With
you.
my-
Look
yeah.
at that. You gonna cancel that stuff tomorrow, but at least he signed up today.
That's
good,
right.
and he'll be good for a year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we want you to sign up to be a diehard. We want you to come hang out with us in Vegas as well. We're going to be there in November. And if you are a diehard, you get 20% off merch and events. Guess what that means? 20% off that trip to Vegas.
That's right.
That's a pretty good little savings.
That's right.
So, sign up to be a diehard. See it right there. We're taking a road trip to Vegas. We'll be out there for the game against the Raiders, our pregame show, our postgame show. It's 3 nights at a luxury Vegas resort. We're going to be out there, and we want you to join us. Thanks to our friends at True Fan Travel. So go to DLLS.com. Sign up. Take advantage of the fact that it is $36 right now as opposed to the $79.99 that it usually is. And that's in honor of something or other. What's the graphic for why we're doing it? It's because of the draft stuff.
Make your move. NBA draft tonight.
NBA
NHL
draft
draft coming later this week.
Yes.
It's
Yes,
Flag
yes,
Day,
yes.
baby. It's Flag Day.
Oh, because
Cooper Flag is going to go.
Come on, guys.
So go to the stuff and do the stuff. It's the DLLS Cowboys podcast. We have one final segment left, and we have what I'm going to now call friend of the show.
Yes.
I like to try to take it away from Clarence being the one who made something happen and just say, big time friend of the show.
That's right. That's right.
Anthony Lynn, who is the run game coordinator and running backs coach of the Washington Commanders. So technically the enemy, but so far I would say a very kind man and one that we can pull for to do great in every non-Cowboy game.
That's right.
Now, Clarence, you said you have 100
Clarence, you got
questions.
100
Now, who you
questions.
texting?
I mean, goodness, just going down the list. You coach with Schottenheimer, you coach with McVay. Certainly you with Quinn now. I think you go back to one of those twins. I can't even think.
Ryan?
Ryan, right?
Who?
Rex
Ryan?
Ryan. I mean,
So
Speaking of
one of
them
those
the
twins.
twins are like feet.
Speaking of feet.
I could, my mind, you don't get old. My mind goes blank. I just had Rex. I told him about Rex Ryan, and I texted him this morning. But obviously, Bill Parcells. You came here with Parcells.
Yeah.
Just talk about what you learned from Parcells, and just the culture. You talk about culture and how he changed the culture in Dallas, and really set them on a winning path. Although we still haven't gotten over the hump. I don't know whose fault it is.
It's your fault.
Maybe
They have not.
Two people been here the whole time we haven't won Super Bowls.
Jerry
and
Jones
you.
and Clarence Hill.
From 5-11 to getting winning the playoff
Jerry,
game and getting over the hump, or getting to the playoffs and getting over the hump. It was Parcells who set the foundation. Just talk about Parcells.
And Coach Parcells is one of the smartest coaches I've ever been around. You know, there's always he always talked about a different way to win every week. You know, you may go out this week and win this way. The next week you may win that way. I remember we was playing the Kansas City Chiefs and he came in and he watched the tape and he says he had just told us to shorten the playbook. Sean Payton and I worked at that time. I worked closely with Sean Payton, who was the play caller. And so Sean is like, we're already thin. So we're going through there. We're trying to cut plays here and there. And the very next week he comes out and he goes, we're playing Kansas City. We got to score at least 35. Throw the whole kitchen sink at them. So we doubled the playbook the very next week. But he was sharp like that. He knew what to do, when to do it. And I learned so much of, strategy-wise from him of how to prepare game plan-wise and how to win each and every week.
He always talked about it. You just listen to his press conference, learn about football, but you learn about life, how you treat players differently and things like this. Talk about all the lessons that you learn from Parcells on a daily basis.
Well, he wanted to always be the good cop. Players loved him. Players loved him. I can't say the same for coaches.
Yeah.
Players loved him, and he would go out on the practice field, and if I was getting in Julius Jones' tail one day, and he put his arm around Julius and walked him back to the huddle and looked over and said something smart to me. Julius looked at me. He was kind of liked it, Coach was standing up for him, but he played that game, that psychology game, all the time. Julius runs for 250 against Carolina, and then he comes into my office and tells me the two things we did wrong. It's like, the 250, but he was football-wise, he was the ultimate mastermind that I've ever been around. The guy he's a winner.
Yeah, I keep bringing examples back to Brian Schottenheimer too, because he's a coach that's been waiting for his chance to be a head coach, has learned from a lot of different guys. And you kind of mentioned Parcells, things he learned. You've been in a lot of places. How, in terms of your coaching path and your coaching kind of identity, how many lessons have you kind of learned from Parcells that you've applied? How many things have you taken from other people? What are kind of your inspirations?
Well, going back to Brian is one of my better friends in the league. Okay, we go back to New York Jet days, spending time at his house, dinners with his dad, his mom, and he comes from a great family. I don't use the word great too often. I think people use it all the time, but great to me is something that comes around every once in a while, not every damn day. Mm-hmm. Well, that man comes from a great family, and he was born to be a head coach, raised by the mother that he had and the father, and he was really hot at one time, and then he got a little cold. But I was so happy to see him get his opportunity, because the people are going to be. I'm not going to be surprised, but I think he's going to turn some heads. He is a natural head coach. I remember sitting in the meeting room in an install one day, and I looked over at LaDainian Thompson, and I said, "I play for him," and he's that type of guy, man. So you guys got a really good one, a really good one.
I remember when all this stuff was going down. I said, "Anthony, you coming here?"
Yeah.
He didn't get back with me.
Well, once Brian interviewed, I said, "It's a wrap."
Yeah, well, I thought you might be on the staff.
It's a wrap.
I thought you might be on the staff, though.
But
he's good where he's at. He's good.
He's busy. He's doing okay.
Definitely good where he's at.
It's always a soft spot for the Cowboys, because I grew up here in Dallas, but right now, they don't pay the bills.
Yeah, no. But you coached here and you grew up here. Just talk about, number one, the culture, the Cowboys image, and the pressure on being a Cowboy, winning.
Well, let me tell you, just coming back here as a coach, that business card, that's the most powerful business card I've ever had. I mean, when you're a Cowboy, the culture that Mr. Jones has built here, it is unbelievable. And I know you guys talk about hadn't won this and that, need to make changes. I don't feel that way, because I know at one of the toughest times in my life, I'm with the Cowboys in training camp, and I get hit by a damn car. The guy was 3 times the legal limit drunk, and they say I flew 55 feet in the air, landed on another car, totaled it. I shouldn't be here today. I should be dead. Yeah. But by the grace of God, I'm alive. And when I woke up from surgery, that man was in the hospital with me at 2:45 in the morning, holding my hand, and that's been my guy ever since. So he's a very caring owner, and he cares about his people, and he takes care of his people. But hiring Brian, I knew once Brian went into that interview with Jerry, it was a wrap. I knew that. That's his type of guy.
This stuff is so powerful that wherever I go next is going to seem like a really doesn't matter transition, but I'm still going to do it. As a guy who is a running backs coach, do you involve yourself in the draft and the scouting and all that stuff, or are you just okay?
Absolutely.
So watching the Cowboys every once in a while, because I'll watch tape of a couple hundred guys a year, give or take. Okay. And Jaydon Blue was one of the guys that I really, really liked, and I hoped he would be a Cowboy.
That's your kid from Texas, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. The speedster from Texas. And they took him in the 5th round. And one of his big knocks was early in the year he had a fumbling problem at Texas. So as a running back coach, when you see something like that, do you think in your mind, I got that. I can knock that out. Or is that this is something that could stay with a guy?
Okay, so early in his career last year, because he's really is his first year playing, he fumbled the ball, I think, 3 times. Okay, but prior to that, was he a fumbler? Did you go back and look at his high school history, look at his carries he had in high school? You know, I think he's from up Houston area. You know, no, he's not. He's not. You know, defenses are trained to attack the football, and sometimes you have to get used to that and make that transition. And so you go into your fundamentals of how you carry the football. Some kids are taught that better than others, and some kids it takes longer. But I know when he came back after he fumbled had those 3 fumbles, did he fumble it again? Nope. So when we fail, okay, let's not beat us up for failing. I think failing is part of the process of being a winner. You got to fail so you know what you're doing wrong so you can correct it and be successful in life. You know, I think just ain't too many times when we fail, you know, we get down on people. And that's just part of the process.
You know, running backs coach, run game coordinator with Washington. Number one, people want to know what type of offense you think Brian's going to run. Or, you know, offense coordinator is going to be. And secondly, he's focused on improving the running game and making life easier for Dak. How important is that?
Well, he understands the importance of a run game. I mean, we went to 2 ALC championships back-to-back. I mean, should have went to the Super Bowl one of those years, but we did it with a rookie quarterback, with Mark Sanchez, freshman and sophomore year. So, you know, we ran the ball extremely well. And when you can run the ball extremely well, there's nothing you can't do on a football field. It opens up everything. And Brian knows that. I mean, he understands ball control and the importance of running the football, especially in December and January. You know, run game travels. Passing game don't always travel. Run game travels wherever you go. So I don't know what the hell he's going to do. I ain't been with him in a long time. But I know he believes in running the football. I know that.
With Schotty, too, you talked about it, how he was a hot young candidate. You know, like he was kind of the Shanahan and McVay at one point. Like he's going to get that next spot. It's a matter of when. And then it cooled off, and it went a long time before he was able to get this opportunity. And this kind of came a little bit on the, you know, a little bit of a surprise to people too. When that happens to, I mean, individuals in general, but when it happens to a coach who kind of goes through that, hey, I'm close, and then I have to wait and learn and go to different routes before I can eventually get that head coaching spot. What do you think that could do to a coach like him? What do you think it do? You know him. What it could do specifically to him to get him ready for this kind of opportunity now that it finally came?
Well, I know him and I know his character. He's just going to be better because of it. You know, maybe he wasn't ready when he thought he was ready. You know, maybe he had to go through some other things to get to this point, and so that when he got this opportunity, he'd make the most of it. So that's how I feel about, you know, this situation. I think he would be better now than ever before.
Your son's obviously an up-and-coming, really smart defensive coordinator over at USC. I'm just kind of curious, how often do you guys like talk ball in terms of, especially in terms of modern offense versus modern defense? Are you guys, you know, helping each other?
As soon as I get back to the house, we're going to talk then. Yeah. He's at the house right now.
Oh, awesome.
So, I like talking ball with him. He does have a sharp mind, and he's always been good with numbers and formulas, and you know, and then he's in the college game. So he's kind of coaching me up on the difference in the hashes and what you can do, what you can't do. But we just like to put concepts on the board and just attack them and just see where we can be better, you know, and I always look forward to those conversations and those meetings with him.
Real quick, I'd like to get to that. There's so much talk about Dak. And what's the outside view of Dak? What's your opinion? What do people outside the organization think of Dak Prescott as a quarterback?
Say he's terrible. It'd be great for going viral.
You know, the neighborhood I moved in, Dak lived across the street. And so I've known Dak for a minute, and he is one of the, character-wise, he's one of the better young men that I think that's in the league. Right. I like a quarterback that we have too, Jaden Daniels, but Dak is very he has high standards for himself, high standards for his teammates, and just look at his numbers. I mean, their numbers are not terrible, not bad. I mean, he's franchise numbers, franchise money. I mean, you have a good quarterback in Dak, so you know, that's the Cowboys' job to build those pieces around him and all that. But I like him.
One thing you told me during the season was how the Cowboys defended Daniels. It was different than everybody else You look at the numbers, the Cowboys had a lot of success.
Brought in Mariota to whoop our
Don't
tail.
be telling my secrets. Okay.
That's not a secret. We watched the tape too.
Yeah,
Jay.
they played well against him.
They played well against the Cowboys.
Well,
what was it about the Cowboys? You were talking about
I
the
would
speed of
say
defense.
one of the reasons they probably play well against us, they have a lot of speed in that front seven.
Yeah.
You know, they're fast. Especially the one from Penn State. You know, I know Mike. I've known Mike for a long time, but they're fast.
Yeah.
You know, and so that helps.
Anthony Lynn, thank you so much for the time. We appreciate you coming in.
I appreciate you guys having me on, man.
We
Yeah,
got
it was
the
awesome.
link up in the chat, and we'll get it in the description of the video in order to donate to help you guys out. And we sure
Awesome.
do appreciate you.
And Anthony Lynn did not say Dak was the best quarterback in NFC East. He just has the best record against all the teams in NFC East.
He didn't say
Great
that
job,
either.
class. We will see everybody tomorrow. Remember, you have no idea what anybody's going through, so be cool to everybody. We love you. Be easy.
Thank you, man.
We all silly like the mayor.